Once it was the little studio that could. Now it's got a big reputation for pushing the technological envelope.
Pixar invented all this stuff.
Art challenges technology. Technology inspires the art.
That combination has brought big rewards to Pixar and parent company Disney. Pixar's films have made nearly $8 billion worldwide, breaking box office records.
They've had success after success after success. It's not a formula you want to tinker with.
Ka-chow!
And that formula is simple. Make great movies.
We're about putting stories into the culture. We're about telling stories.
Welcome to Pixar, where employees ride around on scooters passing Luxo Jr., the company's logo and iconic characters from the company's 13 films. It's a place where creative juices are fueled by foosball and ping pong, a swimming pool and a basketball court, all in the hopes of creating the next Toy Story.
I got a staff meeting, you guys. Come on, let's go.
Those staff meetings might happen here, according to Pixar's Chris Wiggum.
This is our main atrium. The idea was to have it very open and to encourage kind of spontaneous interactions, you know, where you run into somebody on the way to grab lunch and you're like, oh, hey, I've had this idea that I've been meaning to run past you.
Those ideas have led to Pixar's 29 Oscars on display at the front door. Speaking of doors, many are closed to outsiders.
There's a different culture here, you know, and everybody will protect that culture with their lives.
Creative head John Lasseter nurtured that culture from the days before Pixar was even Pixar. In 1984, Lasseter went to work for Star Wars producer George Lucas in the computer graphics division of Lucasfilm. There he made his first short film, The Adventures of Andre and Wally B. The movie used an innovative animation technique called motion blur and complex 3D backgrounds. But the plan to make more movies under Lucasfilm was not to be. The legendary director, in the middle of a costly divorce, put the division up for sale. Luckily, a wealthy investor recognized the unit's filmmaking potential.
Well, I went up there and saw what they were doing, and I was blown away. I spent a lot of time in computer graphics with the Macintosh and the laser writer and stuff, but this was way beyond anything I'd seen. And so I bought into that dream, both spiritually, if you will, and financially. And we bought the computer division from George and incorporated it as Pixar.
When George Lucas sold the computer graphics division to Steve Jobs, John Lasseter and his team became the founding members of a new company called Pixar.
We were only 40 people or so at the time, you know, in February of 1986, and that's when we formed Pixar. So this group, you know, the foundation of this group is about inventing something that no one's ever seen before, inventing something new. And so every movie we do pushes the technology, pushes the art form. Art challenges technology, and technology inspires the art.
And both depend on something else.
Everything is driven by the story.
We're about putting stories into the culture. That's what we're about, telling stories.
Lasseter had always dreamed of telling a big story in a new way.
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Toy Story, the first full-length computer animated film ever, took 4 years to make. It also brought the filmmakers to unexpected places.
What's interesting about computer animation is that all the pieces come together right at the end. It's like, you know, building a car, but all the parts are spread out on your driveway for a long time.
Not a good
You don't
place
know
to
if it's
be.
going to drive well.
Drive well it did. In 1991, Pixar had signed a $26 million distribution deal with Disney to produce 3 computer animated feature films. Toy Story, released in 1995, was the first.
Did you know Toy Story was going to be a hit?
We knew we had something special, but you never know whether it's going to hit or not. But we just trusted our own instinct and made the kind of movies we wanted to see.
Those movies also turned out to be films audiences wanted to see. Toy Story was a hit, grossing $358 million, more than 12 times what it cost to make. It was also seen as an important innovation in animation, winning an Oscar for Special Achievement. Pixar's success, though, became costly for Disney. In 2003, following a disagreement over the release of Toy Story's sequel, Pixar announced it would look for a new distributor after its contract with Disney expired. 2 years later, new CEO Bob Iger made it one of his first priorities to bring Pixar back. The cost? $7.4 billion, a price many Wall Street analysts and some Disney board members thought was too high. Looking back on that decision, Iger says it was the right thing to do.
The Pixar acquisition was transformative in so many ways, turning Disney animation into something that we're really proud of again. Our goal is to be associated with high-quality branded IP.
That intellectual property has turned into a string of hits for Disney and Pixar, with each one making its debut at #1 on opening weekend. When we come back, more on the man who is considered the creative adrenaline of Pixar.
Everything I do in my life is because of Walt Disney and how he entertained me as a child and then as a young adult growing up.
In 2010, Pixar released its crown jewel,
New toys!
Toy Story 3, the highest-grossing animated film ever, a title it still holds to this day, raking in more than $1 billion. Worldwide, Pixar's 13 movies have grossed more than $7.8 billion.
They've had success after success after success, so it's not a formula you want to tinker with. Just let John Lasseter run Pixar. That's how they can be most creative in their own location.
Good luck.
Thank you.
John Lasseter, a kid at heart, continues to guide Pixar with an iconoclastic spirit from his office full of toys.
There's Buzz here, and there's Rex, and Bo Peep's up there, and Slinky's there, and here's Woody and the aliens and Ham. Behind the camera there, that's all cars there. I love trains, and this is like me as a Lego. Isn't that fantastic?
It's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
Lasseter grew up in Whittier, California, spending Saturday mornings in front of the TV watching cartoons. He says he remembers the exact moment he decided he wanted to be an animator. It was after he paid 49 cents at his local movie theater and spent the afternoon watching Disney's The Sword in the Stone. When his mother picked him up, Lasseter told her he wanted to work for Walt Disney when he grew up. That was the beginning of what turned out to be a lifelong relationship with the House of Mouse.
You know, I grew up a half an hour from Disneyland. And Disneyland was my favorite place in the world.
Its creator also turned out to be John Lasseter's biggest inspiration.
Everything I do in my life is because of Walt Disney and how he entertained me as a child and then as a young adult growing up, and the films he made.
Like Dumbo, which Lasseter says is his favorite movie of all time. After high school, Lasseter enrolled in a new character animation program at the California Institute of the Arts, where he began making his own movies. Lady and the Lamp and Nightmare, 2 animated shorts he produced, won Student Academy Awards for animation. After graduation, Lasseter joined Disney, the company that had fueled his childhood dreams. But the dream turned out to be short-lived when he was fired for going around his superiors in his eagerness to make a film with 3-dimensional backgrounds. Lasseter found his way to Lucasfilm, where his interest in risk-taking was fueled by Dr. Ed Catmull, then head of the company's computer division.
Ed Catmull came from computer science. In science, there's experimentation. Experimentation, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, the experiment fails. But you do that. It's part of the process. You learn from it, you think about it, you try it again. In Hollywood, you sort of feel like that not only is there no net, there's probably poison spikes down there. So you're going to... So I'm going to just do something I know I can land, right? At Pixar, not only is there a net, but it's full of down pillows and big comforters and all that stuff. And so failure's part of the process. Try something, figure it out.
Toy Story was the first experiment Pixar figured out. Others, such as Finding Nemo, Cars, and WALL-E, followed. Each Pixar movie takes about 4 years to make, a painstaking and often difficult process.
Every Pixar film, at one point in time or another, has been the worst motion picture ever made. Yeah, just... because it's a process. We're kind of creating this film. And we watch the movie every 3 to 4 months in internal screening of our story reels, and we give notes.
That was something the Pixar team learned from their boss, Steve Jobs.
Steve was amazing. Steve was our founder. Steve was our guiding light, We had a great working relationship with him. because I think, unlike Apple, when he was there the first time, he knew about everybody's job, right? So he could talk to people and tell people, you know, give them notes about everything like that. When it comes to creating a computer animated film, and especially with the creative side, he just would sit back and watch us and just go, whew.
So what's it like to not?
We miss him. Yeah. He was like a brother to me, and you know, we were very, very close. I miss him challenging us, you know.
Now it's Lasseter challenging the Pixar team.
We put more pressure on ourselves than anybody on the outside.
I have to pick which Hawaiian shirt I'm going to wear today.
Pressure from a man in tropical shirts who starts each day rummaging through a closet with no suits in sight. Or a man who might be found wearing a kilt, like the one he wore at the world premiere of Pixar's film, Brave. A man who finds great joy in his toy collection.
I started with the little inexpensive wind-ups because they moved and they flipped. And I had real big, I just kept collecting them. And that was part of the inspiration for Toy Story, because I just loved toys and I collected toys.
And a man who has an outgoing approach to expressing emotion.
I don't know, I just hug people. You know, I got the big, broad, my mom gave me these big, broad shoulders. I was a swimmer and played water polo in high school in Southern California, and I just, you know, just kind of give people big bear hugs.
Coming up, John Lasseter not only makes movies, he brings them to life.
What's it like to see Cars land?
It's one of the great joys of my career.
Last summer, Disney unveiled Cars Land, the centerpiece of a $1.1 billion renovation to the California Adventure Park in Anaheim. The 12-acre expansion takes visitors inside the two Cars movies, which John Lasseter wrote and directed.
It's gonna be fun!
Clearly the Pixar brand helped Cars Land be a successful expansion. It was expensive. It'll take many years for that to pay out for them.
Disney sees magic in the new California Adventure. Since it opened, the company says attendance at the park has increased 25%. Tom Staggs heads up Disney's Parks and Resorts business, the company's second biggest unit, accounting for nearly 22% of profit in fiscal 2012, and a division the company is investing in.
One of the things I'm excited about is that this is a land, like all of our great lands, that will appeal to the little ones, but right up to adults.
6 years ago, Disney bought Pixar and named John Lasseter Principal Creative Advisor for Walt Disney Imagineering, the division that designs theme park attractions.
It works!
Cars Land is his crowning achievement.
What's it like to see Cars land?
It's one of the great joys of my career, you know, to work with so many talented people down there. But instead of making something become real within the computer like we do here at Pixar, it's real. It really exists. You walk down Route 66 right into Radiator Springs, and it's exactly like it is in the movie. And it was, in a way, we're so inspired by what Walt Disney did with Disneyland.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You walk through that tunnel under the train station into Main Street, and you're transported to another place in another time. And it's so believable and so authentic.
One person who helped to make Cars Land so authentic, Kathy Mangum, Executive Vice President of Walt Disney Imagineering. But she credits Lasseter with guiding the transformation of Cars from movie to theme park.
The beauty of having the director of the movie also really come as your executive director of the project. He gave us insight that we would not have normally had.
I was so dedicated to making every detail exact and real and honest. Nothing feels fake. It's real asphalt, it's real tile, it's real stucco, it's real brick, real wood, and stuff seems like it's been there a long time.
Then there's the star attraction of Cars Land, Ornament Valley, a recreation of Utah's Monument Valley. It's the setting for the theme park's high-speed ride, Radiator Springs Racers, that takes you on a breathless trip through the park. Artisans worked on these mountains for 2 years, creating 300,000 square feet of man-sculpted rock.
You turn that corner, you start walking in, and you get enveloped by, it's a big John hug, you know, of a land.
As Pixar was building a real land with roads and rides, it was also creating another fantasy world on the screen. A week after Cars Land opened, the studio premiered Brave, its 13th motion picture. The award-winning film pushed the envelope when it comes to technical challenges.
When we start a project, every single Pixar film, there's something in the story that we need to do that we don't know how to do.
Really?
When we start the project. Every single one. You know? And with Brave, there was a lot.
Your Majesty, I present my heir and scion.
It's our first period film set in history. This is extremely difficult to do with computer animation because to make it believable to the audience, everything you see in the film, the castle, the stones the castle's made of, the trees with the moss on it, all this has a sense of history to it, has an age. You could see it in there. It's been there a really long time. Now, we don't get that for free. Live action film, you can go on location and film something, but everything you see in a Pixar film has to be designed, modeled, shaded. What I often say to these brilliant people here at Pixar that invent something so new it's unbelievable, and when they really get done with it, I say, you know what? Because of what you did that's so brilliant, the audience will never notice it because it's so believable.
So, while Pixar's people continue to create animated blockbusters, where does the company and John Lasseter go from here? The future when we come back.
I get excited to come here. I have 5 sons, and I've always told them, choose something you really love to do, because then you'll never work a day in their life. I have the best job in the world. I get in the car, I drive to Pixar, and I know every day I'm going to see something I've never seen before in my life, and no one has.
Walk around Pixar in John Lasseter's office and you can understand why he likes going to work every day. And his superiors at Disney are glad he's there, as Pixar's ability to churn out hits is now more important than ever.
Pixar is still the heart of Disney animation now, and it's really the main driver of Disney Studios. So the Pixar content is still new and fresh and original because it's coming out of Pixar.
And Pixar's newest release, Monsters University, a prequel to their hit film Monsters, Inc. Hitting theaters June 21st, this is the first prequel Pixar has ever produced. Other future projects include The Good Dinosaur, scheduled for a summer 2014 release, and 2 still untitled movies, one set inside the human mind, another about Mexico's Day of the Dead national holiday.
Whoa, hold on, wait to cross.
Pixar is also going after a new audience for its old classics. In September 2012, Finding Nemo was released in 3D. 2 months later, a 3D version of Brave hit theaters. Pixar says it will make a 3D version of all its future releases.
John Lasseter has often said that, we work in 3 dimensions. Our medium is unique in that we are in the computer able to travel around these sets, move cameras around these characters in 3 dimensions. So he always has conceived of our movies in 3D. And now we have the projection technology to share the movies in 3D. You can see the separation between the left and right eye increase and decrease. Now, the further apart that view of the stuffed animal gets between the 2 eyes, the further and further out it's going to come into the audience.
Whoa! Pixar says its 3D films keep the emphasis on what counts, the story and the emotions of the characters.
What can I say? The camera loves me.
Pixar's 3D strategy also has an effect on the bottom line.
It's a very easy way to make some extra money because it doesn't cost too much to convert them to 3D. And so far Disney's had pretty good success re-releasing these films in 3D, been making anywhere from $50 to $75 million in domestic box office off of a negative cost to convert of probably $10 to $15 million. It's a pretty good trade-off.
A trade-off at the box office that also fits in with John Lasseter's creative interests.
3D. He is a real fan, and he recognizes its impact as an emotional tool and as just a visual addition to our movies, as a way to see our world in new ways.
We're constantly pushing and changing and wanting to do a better job and try something new.
Pixar's parent company likes the way the animation studio is always looking for ways to try something new while holding on to Disney traditions.
we love high-quality branded content. We like iconic characters and great storytelling. The company, since Walt's day, has derived most of its value from great characters, great storytelling.
You are my master!
Let's see how much we're going for on eBay.
I get excited to come here. I have 5 sons. I've always told them, choose something you really love to do, because then you'll never work a day in their life. I think I discovered that I'm a big kid, and I realized by doing this I never have to grow up.